Hi.
Well, then I'll leave it over to you now, Danielle.
Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to get in here and share my screen to get going with this PowerPoint. 1 second. Okay, I'll just move everybody over here. So thank you very much for joining us today. Those of you that are here, as we said, you can definitely use the chat box and ask questions as we go through. Anyone that is watching this later, if they do have questions that come up, please just send us an email and we'll get back to you with anything that you're not clear on. So today, what we're going to talk about is, I'm very excited to finally launch these 3 new products. So the 3 new products from Nimue are focusing on dehydration. So one of the things that we're going to focus on today is the main ingredient in these products, and that is the hyaluronic acid. Now, hyaluronic acid, as we know, is not a new ingredient. Indeed, it is actually the first molecule that we're born into. It's part of the amniotic fluid. So hyaluronic is fantastically versatile at treating all different conditions because it's going to work on sensitive skin, it's going to work on dehydrated skin, obviously, and it's going to help with aging as well. It's literally one of my favorite ingredients. So with hyaluronic acid, it's something that we're born with and we have a lot of it. So Deb was just talking about her grandchildren. Now, if you look at babies, they have those beautiful plump cheeks and you can see all that hyaluronic in there. And then unfortunately, as you start to age, we lose that hyaluronic and that beautiful plumpness sort of starts to go from the skin. So that's what one of these things that this range is going to do, is it's going to work on that hydration. So looking through the presentation today, we're going to look at dehydration, the causes and diagnosing dehydration in the skin, hyaluronic acid and how it's formed in the body. We're going to look at the 4 hyaluronic formulations that Nimue now use. We've used one, mainly the cross-linked hyaluronic for Nimue before, but there's the oil, which is very, very excited, and then an acetylated version, which is the one that we'll go into a lot of details with. Then we're going to just go through the products and individually look at what's in each product and how we're going to use that on the skin, so how we're going to actually recommend that to our clients. And as I said, Q&A at the end, so if you've got questions, stick them in the chat box and we'll get through to those at the end of the presentation. So when we're looking at dehydration, if you're doing a consultation with a client, often one of the first things that they will say is that their skin feels dehydrated. And as it says here, it is the one main benefit that clients are actually looking for in skincare. They're all looking for that rehydration in the skin. So most products, when they come out, they will try to address hydration, but these specifically are for dehydration. So with dehydration, how do we get dehydrated skin? Pollution is one of the things that's going to cause dehydration in the skin. Obviously, air conditioning and heating, and it's very hard in Australia because we're either in a very hot summer where we have the air conditioning on, or it gets cooler in the winter and we have the heating on. So it's actually very difficult for us to get out of both of those environments. We'll also look at diet. Obviously, I've been drinking a lot of coffee of late. I don't know why I've taken it up so badly, but coffee is obviously going to dehydrate the skin, and medication as well will dehydrate the skin. So this presentation here, there's a picture here you can see Audrey Hepburn there in a little black dress. The reason we've got that here is Heidi in South Africa, the trainer in South Africa, she wanted to describe this dehydration and lack of hydration in skin a little bit like when you're looking for hydration, it's like that little black dress. Everyone's searching for hydrated skin. As we just said, it is the one thing that everyone wants in their skin. So hydration, the little black dress, what do they have in common? They are both a classic and timeless essential. Every skin type, every skin condition is looking for that hydrated skin. So when we're looking at diagnosing dehydration, what will we be looking at? When you look at the skin, and Jemima yesterday in our webinar, she was talking about doing online consultations. And one of the things she was saying is sort of get the client to come up close and have a look and feel of the skin. And one of the things you will feel on a dehydrated skin is an uneven texture, that lack of hydration. So the skin can look very dull and lackluster. When you've got hydration in the skin's almost like it's backlit. It's really glowing. And one of the things you will find when you start using these products is the increase in glow and hydration to the skin. So a dehydrated skin can feel fragile. It can feel tight and taut. It can also feel itchy and chapped. One of the other things that can be a sign of dehydration, strangely enough, is congestion. Because what's happening is the skin will be communicating and saying that it's lacking what it thinks is hydration. It will start to produce too much oil. So what we can end up doing is getting congestion and breakout, because the skin's starting to compensate and it produces too much sebum, so we start to get that breakout. So it can actually be a very effective way of treating an oily skin or a congested skin by putting that hydration back in. Flaky skin becomes flaky, often appearing blotchy and red with the lack of hydration. And you'll see in some of the pictures I'll show you later, one of the things that you'll notice when people go on this is the reduction in redness as well. So any redness starts to get reduced when you're really rehydrating that skin. Fine dehydration lines. So we know that the first lines that we get, especially around the eyes, tend to be from dehydration. So when we're looking at somebody and they've got those fine lines around the eyes, that can be a sure sign that they've got dehydration. If a skin is well hydrated, what we see, the skin's going to be clear and bright. Hydrated skin flushes out toxins, keeping skin looking clear and evenly toned. With the hydration, I used to call them the rivers of communication in the skin. You need that hydration in the skin for it to be able to communicate, for every cellular response to occur in the skin. And if we've got that water there, it will help to remove those toxins as well. So a hydrated skin is going to have that plumpness, that plumped appearance when properly hydrated. As I said, it will have a reduction in sensitivity. The skin's going to be soft and supple. There's going to be a beautiful increase in barrier protection on the skin as well, which is going to reduce irritation and sensitivity. And we're going to have a really nice smooth feel to the skin. So if you actually touch the skin of somebody with good hydrated skin, it's going to feel soft to the touch because it's able to retain that moisture. We're going to get improved elasticity and smoother, dewy complexion. Sounds good. So the difference between a dry and a dehydrated skin. A dry is a genetic skin type. You're born with that, okay? And that is a skin that's lacking in oil. That too can feel rough to the touch, and it lacks that moisture. And you can also get the redness in that. A dehydrated skin is lacking water in the stratum corneum. It can feel tight, and that's one of the things that they'll often say to you. If somebody's got dehydrated skin, they'll say it just feels tight. We said you've got those fine lines, that lack of hydration, but it is temporary. We can treat that. So both of these skin conditions can have that flakiness, that sensitivity. The skin can feel itchy, and both skins can appear dull. So when we talk about hyaluronic acid, consumers often get a bit confused with the name hyaluronic acid, because it's not an acid in the sense that it's going to exfoliate the skin. So don't be fooled, it is the opposite to glycolic and lactic. And I think sometimes that needs to be explained to a client if they're new to ingredients. Hyaluronic acid isn't going to exfoliate, it isn't going to irritate, it does the absolute opposite of that. It's soothing, calming, and really a very vital ingredient. So it does not exfoliate, rather it provides the skin with intense hydration. So why is it such a popular ingredient? We've talked about this, dehydration. For the first signs of aging, it will help to minimize those fine lines. It reduces sensitivity and skin redness, and it's a gentle ingredient suitable for all skin conditions. So as I said to you, the hyaluronic is at the moment used in Nimue as in a cross-link form, which we'll be going through in a minute. It is found already in your Nimue Night. It's also in your Multi-Day Plus and your Multi-Night Plus. It's in the Super Hydrating Mask, both the retail and professional version, and also in the new Nimue Hyaluronic Acid Gel, the professional gel. So the three new products we have, and we'll be going through each of these individually. So we've got the Ultra Filler, the oil, and then a super fluid as well to join the family of super fluids. So who are we going to be able to recommend these to? Absolutely every skin type and skin condition, all skin classifications, dry, dehydrated, dull, lifeless, aging skin. Every single person is going to benefit from these products. So hyaluronic acid, the moisture miracle molecule. So where was hyaluronic first discovered? So it was discovered in the 1900s. There was two scientists and they were dissecting a cow's eye. And at the back of the eye, they found that what they call vitreous humor, which is the jelly-like substance at the back of the eye. That's almost the camera of the eye that reflects back the image. And when they broke that gel down, one of the ingredients they found was what they called hyaluronic acid. And the word hylos in Greek actually means glass, and that's because of that glassy-like appearance. So hyaluronic acid is a glycosaminoglycan. It's the most abundant GAG in the skin. It's got that unique water binding capacity. You'll hear this a lot, and it is something worth mentioning to clients, that it does bind 1,000 times its own weight in water. So with that, if you have a glass of water and you put a drop of hyaluronic acid in there, it'll turn that water to a jelly. It binds and attracts water. So it retains water molecules in the skin, and it is also the main component of our extracellular matrix. So we just said it's first discovered in the early 1900s. When we're looking at hyaluronic acid in the body, if we're looking at a 70-kilo human, 15 grams of that will be hyaluronic acid. 50% of hyaluronic acid is found in the skin, but it's also, as I said, it's found around the baby in the amniotic fluid. It's also found in joints as well, and that's one of the things as you start to get sore joints, it's that reduction in hyaluronic acid. A third of the skin's hyaluronic acid degrades in a day, and this is an important thing that we need to remember, and this is what we're going to look at with this formulation that they've done of the new hyaluronic, is trying to make this last a little bit longer in the skin. As fast as the body makes it, it will start to break it down, and that's an enzyme called hyaluronidase which will break that down, and we'll be looking at that in a moment. So hydrophilic, it holds up to 1,000 times its own weight in water, as we said. Remember that glass of water, and it will turn that into a jelly. We can also get hyaluronic acid is actually found in vegetables and soy products, leafy greens. If you're using and making your broths with animal bones, that's got the hyaluronic acid from the connective tissue in there. So if you're making bone broths with all this time we have on our hands, that's also going to up the amount of hyaluronic acid you're consuming. So hyaluronic acid within the skin. Hyaluronic acid content is more in the dermis than the epidermis. So the hyaluronic acid content is in the papillary dermis, which is slightly higher than the reticulous dermis. So the epidermal hyaluronic acid is mostly found below the stratum granulosum. Hyaluronic in the epidermis will act as a barrier to prevent the cure, so your transepidermal water loss, it's going to prevent that water loss. It's able to draw water from the moisture-rich dermis. As we said, there's more hyaluronic down in the dermal area, and it will draw that up to hydrate the epidermis. Now, with the hyaluronic in the epidermal area, we're calling that a high molecular weight. So we're going to talk about the weight, and that's the size of the hyaluronic molecule. So if we talk about a high molecular weight, that means that it's larger, and it will sit further up in the epidermis. The dermal hyaluronic acid supports and moisturizes collagen and elastin fibers. It regulates that water balance, nourishing and hydrating the epidermis. And it's a low molecular weight, which means it sits deeper in the skin. So let's have a look at actually how the body creates this hyaluronic. So where does it all begin? Hyaluronic is composed of 2 repeating sugar molecules attached by bonds. 2 sugar molecules repeating. So you've got D-gluconic acid and N-acetyl D-glucosamine. And what happens, it's a very simple molecule. It's just 2 repeating sugars. So how is it made in the body? If you look here, what we're looking at here is the cell membrane. And on the inside, you can see the sugar molecules. And what happens is they're fed through like a channel in the plasma membrane. And in there is an enzyme that literally sort of works its magic and turns those sugar molecules into hyaluronic acid. So the sugars go through a protein channel in the fibroblast or the epidermal cell membrane, and those enzymes work its magic and join them together to make the hyaluronic acid. So high molecular weight hyaluronic acid has a longer chain, and low molecular weight has a shorter chain. Half of my screen's covered here. Hyaluronic production is regulated by growth factors, cytokines. So, for example, if you wound the skin, what happens is you get a stimulation or a message to your white blood cells to target that area to start the healing process. The hyaluronic is all part of the repair process. So if we're looking in the salon, when we're doing treatments, Why we're doing some of these treatments is to create this wound healing response. So for example, if we're doing a peel or microneedling, that's a micro injury to the skin. Even with your LEDs, your light machines, the red light there will stimulate the same response. The LED penetrates into the skin and actually makes the skin feel like there's been a wound, and there's a wound healing response. After a peel, how does your skin feel? Most clients are going to say that after within 24 hours, 48-hour period, they'll feel this plumpness to the skin. And that's because we've had this wound healing response. There's an increase in that hyaluronic acid from that wound healing response. Epidermal hyaluronic acid may come from your keratinocytes, and your dermal hyaluronic acid is made by your fibroblast cells. So hyaluronic acid, what happens to it? Why do we need so much of it? And what's breaking it down? So your hyaluronic acid degradation, so we're making this hyaluronic, it has a very rapid turnover in the skin. There's less than 24 hours. You got Joanna?
Yeah.
You're just mute, or have you got a question? Or can you mute your, she's muted, thank you. So the enzyme that we're talking about here that's breaking down this hyaluronic acid is an MMP, and it's called hyaluronidase. Now, when we're younger and we're making lots of hyaluronic acid, that hyaluronidase is a really great enzyme, because what it does is it removes the old hyaluronic, allowing room for more hyaluronic. But as we start to age, we're having less hyaluronic made, and we have more of that enzyme, so it becomes out of balance. That hyaluronidase is actually breaking down all that lovely hyaluronic acid. So your MMP enzymes in the dermis and epidermis break down that hyaluronic acid. Another thing that's going to affect the amount of hyaluronic acid that we have in the skin is your reactive oxygen species. That will also increase an inflammatory response and tissue injury. That reactive oxygen species will break down that healthy hyaluronic acid in the skin. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a way that we can stimulate the hyaluronic and reduce this breakdown from these MMPs. So I haven't got the music here, but if anyone's a Star Wars fan, they can see the background of this. This is what it was supposed to be. There's a little, I don't have it though. So what have we got? We've got a new version, or 4 versions of hyaluronic acid. So the new and advanced forms of hyaluronic acid, we've got our acetylated hyaluronic acid. And this is, we'll see in a minute, it's what we're going to call the Superman version of the hyaluronic acid. And then we have our sodium hyaluronic, which is the first to market oil-soluble hyaluronic. So if you think of hyaluronic acid and it's water-loving, it's absolutely amazing how they've managed to put this in an oil-soluble form. And the sodium hyaluronic is going to be fantastic to treat those drier skins because it's in that oil base. The cross-linked hyaluronic acid we have used before, and there is a hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through these 4 different versions of the hyaluronic and get our head around what they are and how they're different. So multi-molecular and new, unique versions of hyaluronic acid with targeted deliver to not only the top layer of the skin, but all the layers of the skin. Okay. So we're going to look first at the acetylated hyaluronic acid. So when you think of this acetylated hyaluronic acid, I want you to think of Superman. Now the reason that Heidi in South Africa called it that will become clear in a second. What happens is they have a hyaluronic and then they use an acetylation process. And this is the way they change or a modification in the molecular shape and the properties of a chemical compound by introducing an acetyl functioning group to the compound. Okay, what that means, that acetylation process, if you can look on the left there, you can see the original molecule, and then on the right, we have the acetylated version. The simplest way to think of it is on the left, if you think of that as like your Clark Kent with his glasses on, and then on the other side, we've got our superhero, our Superman, he puts his red cape on. This acetylation process gives the hyaluronic acid so many new and amazing actions, and we're going to have a look at those now. So this acetylated hyaluronic acid is multifunctional. It's a flash filler. It's going to decrease lines and wrinkles when we apply that, and the acetylated is in this nice blue booster, the ultra filler. This one here, it's going to decrease lines and wrinkles in 1 to 6 hours, and there's going to be a reduction in the visible depth of crow's feet. It is also going to have an antioxidant effect. It also has an anti-pollution effect, anti-aging. It will help to improve the texture of the skin and the reduction in those nasogenian wrinkles, which is, so we've got our nasolabial fold here, and there's little lines that come off that as well. And it's going to affect the appearance of those and reduce the depth of those wrinkles as well. So the acetylated hyaluronic acid, it's a new topical dermal cosmeceutical hyaluronic acid. It has a longer lasting action than regular hyaluronic acid. It's going to last 13 times longer in the skin. Just make a note of that, because it's a really nice little feature and benefit to give to our clients, that when you're using this, the hyaluronic is going to last 13 times longer in the skin. We have increased skin penetration. It's going to be have an improved resistance to that hyaluronidase. So it means that it's not going to be broken down anywhere near as fast. Okay. So one of the first actions, and I'll show you in a second some more benefits of this, but one of the first actions is the acetylated hyaluronic acid is an MMP inhibitor. So what they've done by putting that cape on and acetylating it, this will actually reduce the amount of that collagenase enzyme. So, hyaluronidase enzyme. So it's actually going to reduce the amount of that enzyme that's breaking down the hyaluronic. So an increase in MMP inhibitors is decreasing the collagen degradation. So the acetylated hyaluronic acid, let's have a look where this is working in the skin. So this is a clinical test, and it shows where standard hyaluronic acid goes. So you can see the second picture there, you've got a little circle around there, and that's showing how far, how many micrometers it goes into the skin. So 20 to 50 micrometers into the skin. The acetylated hyaluronic acid with that lower molecular weight goes up to 50% deeper. So you can see the circle on the second one is literally 50% deeper into the skin. So we're getting that deeper penetration, which is where it's holding that moisture in the skin, and it's going to give that filler effect. Now, we were talking about that hyaluronidase and how it breaks down the hyaluronic acid. This is showing standard hyaluronic acid. So if you have a look at the first graph there, you can see that after 16 hours, if we apply hyaluronic to the skin, after 16 hours, 92% of it has been down. That's left only 8%. If you look at the second image, you can see that with the acetylated hyaluronic acid, after 16 hours, only 7% has been broken down. That is an enormous difference. So 8% left after normal, and only 7% broken down when you're using the acetylated hyaluronic acid. So what we're saying there is it lasts 13 times longer in the skin compared to standard hyaluronic acid. So the acetylated hyaluronic acid has a dermal cosmeceutical benefit as well, in the sense that it is anti-pollution. So not only is it going to reduce those MMPs and that breakdown, it's going to penetrate much deeper into the skin, but it also has an anti-pollution effect. And the way that it does that is it increases a protein called sequestosome. So we'll have a look at that next. So sequestosome is, we're talking about sequestosome 1 expression. So sequestosome is a protein that improves skin immunity and removes pollution and dead and damaged cells. So if pollution penetrates into the skin, sequestosome will help to remove that. And what it's showing you there in that image, it absorbs it for what they call autophagy, which is the body's way of clearing out damaged cells. But you can see it's literally absorbing that pollution or those damaged cells. So if you look at the next bullet point here, the acetylated hyaluronic acid increases the expression of sequestosome by 17%. So we have sequestosome in the skin, but with this acetylated hyaluronic acid, what it's going to do is it will increase the amount of sequestosome, which means that we have an increased protection for pollution. Okay, if pollution is found in the body, what will happen is it will actually stimulate sequestosome production by 40%. So just overall, it's increasing it. But if we are in the presence of pollution, you will get a 40% increase in that sequestosome. So what we're looking at there is very, very important, because pollution, we know, is going to cause free radical damage in the skin. It's going to cause aging and protein breakdown and inflammation. So we're actually helping the body protect itself from pollution by stimulating that sequester zone with that acetylated hyaluronic acid, which is really quite incredible. So if we look at the benefits so far, we're getting a reduction in the breakdown of the hyaluronic, we're getting a deeper penetration, and we're getting an anti-pollution effect. And that's just from the first one. So acetylated hyaluronic acid will also act as an antioxidant. So this is our next benefit. So what acetylated hyaluronic acid will also do is it increases the expression of an enzyme called thyrodoxine reductase. Okay, this is an enzyme that is found naturally in the body, and it's a potent antioxidant. So what it means is it's going to share those electrons and donate them to normalize and neutralize free radicals in the skin. As we age, that enzyme diminishes, and the acetylated hyaluronic acid will increase the amount of this enzyme. If we increase that enzyme, we're getting a decrease in the reactive oxygen species. So we know that those free radicals will break down collagen, break down elastin, break down DNA. If we can help reduce that by stimulating this enzyme, that again is going to help with the reduction of aging and the breakdown in the skin. Inflammation is caused when we've got free radicals, and you'll see when you start using this, one of the things that you do notice is there's a reduction in redness, and that's one of the reasons that this is happening, because of this potent antioxidant effect that you're getting. So we're going to get an increased protection of collagen, elastin, and DNA, because those free radicals are not going to be breaking that down. So we've just got some pictures here of the roughness of the skin. So this is from the acetylated dermocosmeceutical benefits, the visible improvement in skin softness. And it's really hard to see some of these, but what you will find when you get a client on this, the texture of the skin changes dramatically. Those fine lines go, and the softness and suppleness comes back to the skin. We were talking about those nasolabial and nasogentian wrinkles here. If you have a look at the before and after here, this was done over 28 days, 2 times a day, the application. You can really see that in that second photo that those deep lines have really minimalized. The other thing is to look at her cheeks. Can you see the redness in the broken capillaries, how that's improved in the second picture? This one here is on the crow's feet. And as I said, one of the first things we notice with aging with dehydration is those fine lines around the eyes. Okay, this was in 1 to 6 hours. So I said to you that as hyaluronic, the acetylated hyaluronic, in 1 to 6 hours, you'll get a really good result. So you can see that that's really minimalized that wrinkle depth. Okay, so just to summarize, what's that acetylated hyaluronic acid doing in the skin? It's decreasing the reactive oxygen species because of that increase in that enzyme, that antioxidant enzyme. There's an increase in sequester zone, which we said is anti-pollution. So that's going to remove that pollution from the skin and any damaged cells. There's a decrease in those MMPs that are destroying the skin. So we're getting a reduction in wrinkle depth and improvement in skin texture. Now, I'm just going to summarize everything here. Some of you might want to make some notes. If you want any of this presentation, you're welcome to just email us afterwards. But if you want to make some notes here, this is really some of the real benefits we'll be talking to clients about with the ultra filler. So it lasts 13 times longer, that hyaluronic acid in the skin. It has a flash filler effect. So it behaves like a filler, and we'll talk more about this in a moment. But with people unable at the moment to get their fillers, this is really a good product to be selling, because you do get the reduction in those fine lines. You do get the filling on the cheeks, okay? Then we're getting the reduction in those lines around the nasal labial. It's multifunctional. We talked about it being antioxidant, anti-pollution. It decreases lines and wrinkles visibly for up to 1 to 6 hours. It's dermoceutical, increased resistance to the enzyme breakdown of that hyaluronidase. It restores the skin's natural antioxidant potential, and it fights reactive oxygen species. So what is the key function of the acetylated hyaluronic acid? Anti-aging, antioxidation, and anti-pollution. Okay. So the next hyaluronic that we're going to look at, I said there's 4, this is the second one. This is our low molecular weight hyaluronic acid. Now, low means that it sits low in the skin. And again, amazing that they've created a formulation of hyaluronic acid that is oil soluble, so it can go deeper into the skin. Because normally when we think of oil, it sits on water and it sits on the top. With this, they've allowed a deeper penetration of this hyaluronic into the skin. So this is your hyaluronic oil. Okay, and that's where you'll find this oil-soluble sodium hyaluronic. So this is the salt form of the hyaluronic acid. It's the first to market oil-soluble hyaluronic acid. We get deep penetration of this molecule into the skin. It's much smaller size than normal hyaluronic acid. So especially when we're thinking of water loss, the oil is going to sit there and prevent that transepidermal water loss. But this hyaluronic version will also hold water in the dermis for you. So we're going to get instant and long-term hydration from this. It's a much smaller molecule than hyaluronic acid. It penetrates easily and has a better chemical stability, and it's less likely to oxidize. So the sodium hyaluronic penetrates and hydrates those deep levels of the skin. It's drawing water towards it. It reduces oxidative stress. It also has antioxidant protection here, and it acts as a water reservoir, meaning that it's going to create that water deep down in the skin and allow that hydration within those cells and strengthens the biolipid layer. So the key benefits of the low molecular weight sodium hyaluronic: it is oil soluble. It is the first to market oil-soluble hyaluronic acid. It has a deep penetration into the skin, and it holds water in the dermis for instant and long-lasting hydration. So if we can think of a client that we would be selling the oil hyaluronic to, it's really going to be those more lipid dry clients. So somebody that is really a drier skin are going to absolutely love this oil, although I love it as well because it smells beautiful, but we'll look at that later. Now, the cross-linked hyaluronic acid, this one here we've had and we've used before. This one, the sodium hyaluronic cross-polymer, is a high molecular weight, which means it sits on the surface of the skin. It has exceptionally high water binding capabilities, 50 times its own weight. It's holding that moisture on the surface of the skin. It's an antioxidant. It forms a film on the skin, and I'll show you the image in a second. We'll have a look. There we go. This one here, can you see that that water's sitting on the surface of the skin there and holding the moisture in? So when we're looking at this high molecular weight, it sits high up in the epidermis and it forms a barrier on the surface. I want you to think of this version as a little bit like a sponge that's being slowly squeezed over time. So slowly throughout the day, as our skin needs that hydration, it drip feeds that water through. So it forms a film on the skin. It will plump those surface lines and wrinkles. It has a moisturizing effect, and it's going to reduce irritation because all these hyaluronics are very soothing and calming. So what is the main benefit of using a cross-linked hyaluronic acid? It delivers water, or that hydration, as I say, like a sponge over a period of time, and it has a high water binding capability, and it prevents that transepidermal water loss because it's sitting on the surface of the skin. Our last hyaluronic here, number 4, are hydrolyzed hyaluronic acids. Hydrolysis is a complex chemical process of breaking apart the bonds in a molecule in the presence of water. It results in smaller fragments of hyaluronic acid, allowing for a low molecular weight. Although the hydrolyzed hyaluronic has an average molecular weight, so it's not high, it's not low, it's average. It sits somewhere in between. Apart from moisturizing, the size also helps the skin, aiding it to repair itself by increasing self-defense mechanism. Now, this one here, you're going to find mainly in our salon superfluid, okay? And you'll see why that this is in there. The main action of this hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid is wound healing, okay? It stimulates the wound healing process and skin defenses. So what will happen is it reinforces natural immune system. It stimulates the release of an antibacterial peptide. If you want to have a bite that down, what it will do is it stimulates beta defensin 2. which is a growth factor, a peptide growth factor, which is going to signal that wound healing. So if you think where you would be using that superfluid, and hopefully your brain's ticking over and you say, why would we be putting that in this one? It's for where we're doing our microneedling, because we're creating those micro wounds. The peptides that this stimulate will increase repair and have an antimicrobial effect. So it's going to prevent any damage to the skin afterwards, any irritation, and it's going to start a beautiful wound healing. So it stimulates keratinocytes and fibroblasts proliferation and migration, accelerates cellular repair processes, it's anti-inflammatory and antibacterial, and it has that wound healing action. It is absolutely perfect to use, and those of you that have it, it has a really nice slip to it. It's a slightly thicker texture and it goes a long way. For your needling, it's absolutely a very, very good option for you. What is the main benefit of using your hydrolyzed hyaluronic? It stimulates the wound healing response and has an antibacterial action. So remember, it's stimulating those growth factors, the wound healing, and the repair in the skin. So those are our 4 hyaluronics. We have a couple of additional ingredients in here, 2 xylotols in here. They work in synergy with your hyaluronic acid. Think of them, they're called the 3D hydra complex. Both have a humectant and hygroscopic action, enabling them to trap water. What they do is they work on what we call the hydrous flow. Within the skin, we have what we call aquaporins, which are like little channels where it travels from one cell to another and it circulates the water. And what this 3D hydra complex does is it stimulates that flow of water cell to cell and outside the cells as well. So it provides additional hydration, circulation of moisture throughout the skin layers, from the dermis up to the epidermis and from cell to cell. It will also help to limit transepidermal water loss and reinforce that skin barrier. Now this one here, the isosorbate, you will recognize we use that in a few of our other ranges. It acts as a penetration enhancer. It's not a delivery system. I like to think of this as a dormant. So we know that our skin is there to help protect us and prevent anything coming in that we don't want in. So if you think of it like a dormant, but this isosorbate will prevent that and allow these ingredients to go in. So it's like the dormant saying, yes, you can come in. So it optimizes delivery of those active ingredients, whereas, you know, we know that the skin is a defense mechanism. This will allow those ingredients to be allowed into the skin, and it also will improve the spreadability of products. So it gives that really lovely texture. So you'll find this sorbate in the hyaluronic ultrafiller serum, the hyaluronic oil, and also in the superfluid. So those are the 4 main hyaluronics. And what we're going to look at next is we start to go through the products and look at them more individually. So we've said we have the hyaluronic ultrafiller serum, the hyaluronic oil, and the hyaluronic acid superfluid. The ultrafiller serum, those of you that have tried it, I'm sure have fallen in love with it. It is a beautiful texture. For change in season, which we're at now, and also people spending more time inside, they've either, you know, got air conditioning on, this is going to be a really brilliant product for them to use. The main ingredient in that is that acetylated hyaluronic acid. You've also got the cross-linked hyaluronic acid in there. So it's got anti-aging, antioxidant. Remember that acetylated hyaluronic works on anti-pollution as well. It has exceptional hydration in all the layers of the skin. Then we've got that penetration enhancer there as well to make sure that it penetrates well into the skin. So how do we use this? We'll have a look in a second, but we've got acetylated, cross-link, and that 3D hydra complex in there, and that has that flash filler effect. So we're going to apply that, and we're going to, within 1 to 6 hours, you'll see a reduction in these lines and wrinkles. You'll get a filling effect on the cheeks as well. You're going to get the antioxidant effect. You're going to get a reduction in pollution damage as well. In the morning and the evening, we can use this. So you can either use it once or twice a day, so AM and or PM. You saw in the video that they'd put the pre and post serum. I would recommend that the pre and post is used with that. That works on the barrier, so it works beautifully in with this. but you use it after your Nimue cleanser and conditioner massage. It's around 2 pumps of this into the face, neck and décolletage, and follow with your Nimue moisturizer. And if you're doing it during the day, make sure you put your sunscreen on as well. Maybe use daily as required or for periodic use depending on the skin requirements. It is a really good product to use for somebody when they've just started on Nimue, if they're going through that transitional period and their skin is starting to flake, feel tight or feel uncomfortable. So the selling tips for this. So it has instant and deep, long-lasting hydration. Remember, we're getting a deep penetration into the skin and 13 times longer in the skin. That plumping effect, it smooths and softens the skin texture, it reduces those wrinkles, it has that flash filler needle effect. So we'll look at this in a picture in a minute, but where people aren't able to get their filler at the moment, this is a really good option for those clients. So offers a solution to clients unable to have non-surgical cosmetic procedures, which is everyone at the moment. So no one can get in and get their filler, no one can get in and have the anti-wrinkle injections. For those clients, and there are a lot of them that are really almost panicked about this, this is a fantastic option, and I would suggest that you'd run a promotion on this and you really allow your clients to know that you have this in stock, because they will see a difference. It will also make their hyaluronic injector last longer as well, because it's going to fill up here where we get the loss of density and the hollowness under the eyes. You get a really great result with it. If we look at this picture, I'm sure many of you have seen this, but this is the one that Terry had in New Zealand. You can see the client on the left. This was done, I think, in 10 days. If you look at the hollows under her eyes here, you can see that the darkness here and the plumpness has come back under the eyes. Her cheek has lifted here as well, and the nasolabial fold. So you do get an incredible result with this. Is it comparable to a filler? It's not going to be as instant, but it will definitely help maintain that filler and also reduce the appearance of those lines, wrinkles, and help redensify. The hyaluronic oil, you see me smiling, I absolutely love this one. So this is a new generation of oil-soluble hyaluronic acid. It's a low molecular weight, as you said. This is quite incredible that we're enabling the oil to penetrate nice and deep into the skin. Dual offering provides water and oil replacement. So this is really for your lipid dry clients. It has that penetration enhancer, which means we get really deep penetration into the skin. Look at the beautiful essential oils here. What I'm suggesting you do with this, I've got the oil here. We'll look at how it's applied, but it actually goes over your moisturizer. For those of you that don't know, that we take a small amount of that. I would get them to warm it up and sit and smell that. Everyone at the moment is suffering from stress. My background's aromatherapy as well. And these beautiful essential oils, you've got rosemary in here. Rosemary really helps to reduce cortisol levels actually, and it will help slow down the heart rate. So make sure that they inhale that. Chamomile as well. Chamomile again reduces cortisol, helps sleep, and helps calm us down. Lavender, antibacterial, antiviral, soothing, calming. Once you've smelt that, just get them to press that over the top of their moisturizer. It will go under a sunscreen, but you would use it over the top of your moisturizer. So the hyaluronic oil, the sodium hyaluronic, which is that oil-soluble hyaluronic, the penetration enhancer. This is going to prevent water loss. It's going to give instant and long-lasting hydration. And it's going to also work on the firmness because that hyaluronic is going to plump. So how do we use this? Morning and evening after your Nimue moisturizer. We're not to use this on oily skins. They may be drawn to it, but it's not for an oily skin. It's going to be too much for them. Massage a thin layer over the face, neck and décolletage. Follow with your SPF. Maybe use daily as required or periodically. So coming into the winter is a great time to use this. When we can travel again, if we're flying, this would be a great product to use actually on the plane to hold that moisture into the skin. Or if we're going skiing, if you're going to the snow, this is going to help hold that moisture in the skin as well with your element barrier. Do not use this after dermal rolling, okay? So just make a note of that. It's not something that you would do the rolling and then apply this, okay? It'll clog, okay? So you would always just use your superfluid. You may use the ultra filler under the hyaluronic oil. If they want to use both, they're more than welcome to use both. So they just apply the ultra filler, then either Nimue Day, Nimue Night, and then the oil over the top of that. So the oil, intense hydration and moisture, smooths lines and wrinkles. It's going to prevent that transepidermal water loss. It holds moisture in the dermis. It's going to provide that comfort. And we said at the beginning that dry skin will feel tight. This is going to help take that tightness away. That oil will instantly soften and smooth. The hyaluronic acid superfluid. This is our last one here. Super concentrated hyaluronic acid based superfluid. The hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid and the cross-link provide double action. Remember I said that this will stimulate those growth factors in the skin and that wound healing. It's also antiviral, antibacterial, so it's going to stop any infection occurring. Assist with hydration and healing. The penetration enhancer optimizes penetration through the sternum corneum. Ideal to customize Nimue professional peels and microneedling. Soothing, hydrating during and after a treatment. So we can use this for our needling, we can use it under our masks, we can mix it and use it in with our peels as well. So obviously you can use this in with either your bioactive or your skin resurfacer. So it can be used in all Nimue professional treatments. Look at your guidelines, it's the same as for all the others. Do not use more than 2 superfluids in a treatment, 4 ml in total. Should 2 superfluids be chosen, the main superfluid will focus on the client's primary concern. Okay, so hydrolyzed hyaluronic and that cross-linked, we said stimulating those growth factors and the repair in the skin. Soothing and hydrating is going to prevent the transepidermal water loss as well, stimulates skin defenses, that's the growth factors, an immediate replacement of water, and provides cellular repair and that wound healing effect. So if we're using that in, for example, with your environmental SRC, 4 ml of that to 4 ml of your hyaluronic superfluid. If we want to use 2, remember we use our primary concern, and obviously in this case we've looked at hydration being the primary client's concern and aging being the second concern. So we've used 4 ml of your skin resurfacing complex, we've used 3 ml of the hyaluronic superfluid and 1 ml of the retinol. Perfect to use, 3 to 4 mils. And what you'll find, if those of you that haven't had this, I'll just put a bit on my hand, I don't know if you can see, but the texture of this is slightly different. You get a really good glide with this. So you will find, I'm not sure that anything's going to be much better than this to use for your needling. This is absolutely exceptional. Talking to Heidi, she says she's had some incredible results with this. So when our salons open again, we can all get playing with that. It's very small for me to read this, but the main difference, I just wanted to go through, because some of you will ask, what is the difference between the superfluid and the hyaluronic acid gel? The superfluid has the hydrolyzed hyaluronic acid in it, so it's working on those growth factors, it's working on the repair in the skin. The gel has the cross-linked, which is that, what I said, that protective, like the sponge on the surface. So we would use that as the aftercare treatment after needling, because it's going to put that barrier on the skin and it's going to drip feed the moisture through. All right, thank you. We're done now. What I'll do is I'll pass back to Frank, and we'll see if there's any questions. Are you there, Frank?
Yes,
Yes.
we are here.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much, Danielle. It was really interesting. Wow. Do we have, by the way, I really loved all your explanation for someone like me, you know, to hear things like the sponge and Superman and the doorkeeper, the doorman. That's really gives me a clear image.
To clients, that's the main aim of this.
And while you were doing this, I was thinking to myself, I thought, well, maybe, you know, the therapists who are joining us could start thinking about doing a presentation themselves to their own client, maybe using some of the slides or being inspired by some of the slides, because they can get access to all the slides that you've presented. All they need to do is just ask us. So that could be, you know, some way of communicating with the clients and introducing a product that it seems very unique. Like you were saying that the oil base is the first ever. Does that mean that there's no other brand in the world that has something like this?
There are a couple of other ranges that use acetylated, not in the percentage we use it, I don't think, but the oil is completely unique to us. And as I say, with the essential oils in that, if you haven't tried it, I would definitely be using that. Even if you're not a big fan of oils, to use at night at the moment with those essential oils in it, their skin will wake up and it feels like silk the next day.
Wow. And it does really smell amazing. Lydia was just showing me a sample.
I was talking when we had salons open, I was talking to Lydia about creating you know, a ritual to do with this, to actually get on the treatment bed, to get your clients to inhale it,
Yes.
and then put it on at the end of the treatment.
Yeah.
Because that sensorial aspect is beautiful with this.
Yeah, and I guess that they can, the client, because this is a retail product, right? So they can also create that.
I think we're going to look at having that available for salons to use at a slightly lesser price.
Okay, so I know that some of you would be interested in knowing the prices of these products. I know that Lydia, have you got the?
I'm going to interrupt
sure.
for a minute. Thanks, Danielle, for the presentation. That was amazing. Aina is asking us in the chat box about the prices. For those of you who don't have updated Nimue price list, you can email me and I can email you back the updated price list with the hyaluronic range in there. So, but I'm going to tell you the prices now as well. So the Ultra Filler, the serum, the 30 ml serum is $110.33 for you to buy, the wholesale price. And the recommended, this one, the blue one, and the recommended retail is $189, and that's 30 ml. The hyaluronic oil, the one that smells beautifully and the only on the market, the only one, is $42.57 wholesale price. That's including GST. And the recommended retail price is $74. Yeah, and the superfluid, which is the professional size hyaluronic acid superfluid, is just hold on a minute. Second, $92.62. That's 30 ml.
That's the retail price, right?
That's wholesale
price. Oh, sorry.
Because it's a professional.
It's a professional, sorry. Yeah.
But we do have our special offers, launch special offers. I'm gonna share the screen with you now to show you what these special offers are. Can you see the?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna share the screen. So
let me just do that.
Share.
Yeah.
Share the screen. And we can do this one. And
yeah.
And just a second, and I'll share my thing. There we go.
No, I don't think you shared. Just hold on.
Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Not yet.
No.
Don't worry. We'll share the screen.
Okay. Share. No. There we go. Okay, so this you should be able to see.
So the launch specials are, if you want to get all three products, the serum, oil, and the superfluid, if you buy 3 hyaluronic oils and 3 hyaluronic ultra fillers, you'll get 1 superfluid for free. Then if you are only interested in the oil, you can buy 10 hyaluronic oils and you'll get 2 free extra with that offer. And if you are only interested in the serum, you can buy 5 and then you get 1 serum free of charge. And obviously you can buy all of those offers if you'd like. Anyways, if you are interested in the products, then call us, message us. If you've got any questions, you can always call Danielle or me or the office. And if you've got any questions now in regards to the ingredients or any product properties, then Danielle will be able to answer your questions now. We're going to pop back to the chat. We're going to stop sharing the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can, yeah, you can just unmute yourself or just write your question in the conversation
So we've got Margot. Can you email it? Yes, Margot, we can email
Oh yeah, we will upload our presentation to YouTube, and then we will share it in our closed Facebook group. Who is not a part of the group yet, you can request to become a member of our Vital Plus professional group for skin professionals. And then, yeah, we will be able to upload our webinar and then share it with you guys. Absolutely. And also the same with the PowerPoint as well.
And can I just suggest, I'm just thinking of how you can present this to your clients. It would be perhaps a great thing, because seeing those photos that you showed us, Danielle, and how quickly you can see the difference, it would be a great way to maybe have your clients sort of do a sort of 5-day challenge where they do a photo, before photo, and then 5 days later they can do an after photo, and maybe you can have a special price to offer for the before and after photos that might get your clients, inspired to actually do it and do something like that, to try the products. As we said, we will share with you the presentation that Danielle has done, so you can also share some of the before and after photos with your clients, just to get them really interested with that. But there's a lot you can think of doing to get your clients motivated to try this. And they are truly, I mean, the oil one, unfortunately, if you've got oily skin, you can't use it. That's a bummer.
Yeah, but I like to use it because I'm an oily, but sometimes I get dry depending on the season, and sometimes I really prefer using the oil. I love it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so
can I make a comment?
Yeah, please.
Sorry, can I make a comment?
Please.
Obviously, like it's Roz speaking.
Yes, hi Roz.
Obviously, like a lot of the clients, that I'm dealing with often have that combination skin. A lot of the young girls are really obsessed with oils at the moment. So I think that this is a key product that we can absolutely sell so much of right now. And I think that even if they're not applying it all over their face, I definitely think those outer sort of like cheek areas and those drier areas and décolletages, and just to have something like that, like in your kit, like your repair kit, even to pop on after like your eye cream and things like that, like sort of to those outer edges, and the cheekbones and stuff. I think this will go really well. Like I'm actually really keen to use the oil because I think that it's a great product. And I did actually get a sample of it and I've tried it, and I noticed when I did put it on to oilier areas, like I did get a bit of breakout, but then I also saw the benefits of using it on those sort of like cheek areas. So I'm just like, yeah, it's still a must.
Great price point as well. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, I've been using the ultra filler and the oil probably for 6 weeks, Danielle?
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, love them.
Yeah. Okay, because you've got practically perfect skin. So
oh no, I didn't.
What did you find?
Barrier function, and it's very good now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you sold any to your clients?
A couple. Yeah, I haven't been promoting it much yet though because I didn't know a huge amount about it. So obviously I will be after this.
Okay. Well, thanks Dominique for sharing.
Thank you.
What about you, Michelle? Have you?
I have. Yes, I've been using it myself, and I was an AI convert, which I absolutely love my AI face serum, but I thought I'm going to do a comparison between the two of them.
Yeah.
I love the ultra filler and I still love the AI, but what's been the most exciting thing, I actually ordered some in before we had to close down. I think I only bought in 3. I gave 2 of them away to my best clients, so one each to them, to tie them over, knowing that they couldn't have facials with me.
Right.
I've been seeing them on a regular basis and just making sure how's it feeling, how's it looking, considering the stress that these 2 particular women are under. I have to say their skin looks phenomenal.
Right.
And really plump and really has life. Considering, as I said, times we're living in. Both girls have had to close down their businesses and it's been pretty horrific. So, I keep on saying, God, your skin looks amazing. So, I've been thrilled with it, really, really thrilled. and also on myself.
I've found the oil beautiful over Synchro.
Yeah.
Really, really lovely if you've got a drier skin. The Ultra Filler, you can just use that. I would use it under Synchro.
Right.
But there's absolutely no contradiction with using those. People have asked me what the difference between the Ultra Filler would be and Cells Life.
Right.
Cells Life contains the growth factors as well.
Right.
So it's going to be textural, and this one possibly is going to be more long lasting in the skin. You will get an instant plumping with the Cells Life. With the Ultra Filler, you're going to get longer term dermal filling.
You say like 13 times longer than?
The hyaluronic will last 13 times longer than normal hyaluronic because it breaks down so quickly. But as I say, the Cells Life will work more on the stem cells, on growth factors, and also has the collagen fragments in it as well. So I love them both. It's, you know, I alternate them.
Okay.
Danielle, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, we can.
Okay, I came back, and thank you for the presentation. That was awesome. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
You said that it takes 1 to 6 hours for you to get that filling effect. Is that a cumulative, or is that every day? So you don't use it for, let's say...
That's for one application.
Yeah, because quite often I tell people with the alpha lipoic, it's a cumulative. You need to use
it. It's not a cumulative because hyaluronic's holding all that moisture. Yep. It's, yeah.
Yep, okay. I don't know how to ask this question. We already have a hyaluronic with another range that we use. And obviously I want to move my clients into the Nimue. There's a price difference between the two, but I'm looking, perhaps later I can ask you this question about what's better about the Nimue one versus...
You'd have to tell me what...
The DP Hyaluractive.
Yeah, no, but I'd have to know what formulation is. I've just went through those 4 there. The acetylated is very expensive to produce.
Yep.
Not many companies say, I don't think DP have that. That's what they use as their glide.
Yep.
The way that we've got it, so you're probably comparing that to the superfluid for your needling.
Yep.
Yet this is going to cost probably a little bit more, but you're getting that growth factor stimulation there.
So do you know about how many mils I'm putting on of the superfluid to get? Like,
they're saying 4.
4 to do a face?
They're saying 4. The glide is better than the other, Shelley, with this. Yeah. It's a lot better.
So if I was doing face, neck and deck, it'd be 8 mils, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just got to factor that into the cost. You said to never use the oil after needling. Now you're talking about directly after needling. Would that be an aftercare product? Give
it 24 hours.
Yeah.
For the micro wounds to close.
Yep.
Once they've closed, 6 to 8 hours, then you're fine.
Okay. And so would there be a time that you would use both? Like, so my standard aftercare after needling is nothing on your skin for 24 hours. And then we start using, like I said, the DP Hyaluractive. If they're Nimue loving clients, I would then prescribe them either the oil or the serum. Would there ever be a...
They can use both. Yep. Because they've got that different, we go back through the 4 different hyaluronics. The blue one has got the acetylated and the cross-linked in it, whereas the oil's got the hydrolyzed, which is the one that enables that oil to penetrate deeply into the skin. Hyaluronic form. So
I could possibly talk to them about, here's the one you use in the morning, here's the one you use at night, sure. Or am I doing it together?
You can layer it. So you could layer it. So they could use the Ultra Filler Nimue day and then the oil.
Yep.
And then at night, the Nimue night and then the oil.
Yeah, I'm excited to use the slip and see what it's like and cost comparison between the two. The one they've already got in this one as well.
Yeah, I'd like to know as well, because I know the DP is a popular one. It is not going to be as advanced with the ingredients as what's in this one.
Okay. Well, that's a starting point for me.
Because it comes in the big pump, doesn't it? Yeah, it's not. For that price, it's not going to be.
So have you used it under needling, with needling yet, or just heard about it from Heidi and Sat?
We've only heard it because we haven't, because everything got shut down, we haven't had a chance to just from hiding.
I'm interested because we use it, like, would you paint it on and then does it just sit?
I would do by section. Yeah,
and then it's your slip and it's also been absorbed at the same time. the needling.
I wouldn't put it all on at once, because if someone's super dehydrated, or you know how it is. It goes in.
And then what would your aftercare be? Would you put it on again, the super fluid?
No, no, your normal hyaluronic. My brain escaped me. What's it called?
Hyaluronic acid gel.
The aftercare gel.
Oh,
So
the aftercare
gel. Remember, I did a comparison at the end, and we'll send you the PowerPoint. But the aftercare gel has the cross-linked hyaluronic, which is the sponge. So that will be the barrier, and it will drip feed the hydration, because you've put the superfluid in.
Yep.
It's got all of that growth factor, all of the wound healing, the antiviral activity from that, and then you put the top on and put the cross-linked over the top. Like
so one of the ways that I promote my skin needling is that it's always reverse aging. It always is. You can't needle and not. Would good wording for this be a super reverse aging? Like, is that what I'm doing by using the Nimue Hyaluronic versus the standard one?
By needling, you're stimulating growth factors anyway, as you know. But by adding this hyaluronic in the hydrolyzed form, that is also stimulating those growth factors. So yeah, in a way you're doubling it, because you're causing the micro wound, but you're also putting something in there that's stimulating that wound response.
Yep. Okay, thank you for answering my questions. Hello to all my friends. It's nice to see you all.
Actually, thanks, Shelley. Great question, by the way. I appreciate that. Again, for being with us. We wish you well. And Danielle, if you have anything else to add, if you don't, I'll...
Thank you. As I say, I'm on the phone. If anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate. I'm here, as we all are.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Care.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.